think what, oh, well, this, I think it might be interesting to the rest of the family for us to talk about stuff that nobody knows anything about but you and I. Beginning with when we were really little tiny kids, and the names of our parents even, Cecilia and Johnny Buckley. And we lived in Chicago, probably on the west side, not the old west side, but and we also had grandparents. I think that mother and father had already died. I was born in 1932. Lois was born in 1930. Why don't you just...
Let's see. We just had a more or less normal life, mother and father and family life, and a lot of good times. I remember our father, Johnny, as being good-natured and full of fun, liked kids and liked to play with kids. He was an older man. Our mother was like 20 when they got married, and he was, I never remember. If he died in 1935 and he was 47, what year is it? He was born in 88. And mother was born in 1903, so in 88, so he was 15 years older than she was. So he was 35 when they got married. But mother got sick, and we had to be taken care of by friends of hers, the Sechrist family, and our father would come and visit us. And then one day, Mrs. Sechrist came and told us that our father had gone to heaven. And I was 4 and a half, Mary was 2, and Pat was 7. So that was in July 5th, 1935. And then in October of that same year, our mother remarried. Halloween, she married Dave Johnson. So and then by the end of that year, we were back. Well, we had been sent out to live with relatives we went to into an orphanage.
It was called St. Joseph's Home for the Friendless. And they separated the little kids, the toddlers, from the older children. I have memories of that time. It's probably my earliest memory. And it was a cold memory. The people that I had been sent to stay with, our father's cousin, Mady, and her husband, Jack Courtney. They were nice people, but they really frightened me. They were cold, and I guess I did. My father was gone, and I was separated from my mother, so maybe I wouldn't have liked it with anybody. I don't know.
Do you remember the orphanage itself?
A little bit. The smell, maybe, kind of subliminally.
Do you remember the dining room?
Long tables.
And I wet the bed. So they turned my cup at supper time. I couldn't drink anything. I was very thirsty, and they wouldn't let me drink anything. And then I would always wet the bed anyway. And then I'd get a spanking with a hairbrush from a mean nun every morning.
And you went to live with Aunt Mary?
Yeah, and then we couldn't have been in the orphanage very long because our father died in July of that year, and by Christmas we were back with our mother. She was remarried, and we were starting a new life with a new father and everything. So it was just a matter of like 5 months that we spent at the orphanage, and then after that at relatives' houses. It wasn't very long.
I thought it was a whole year.
I never really knew how long it was until fairly recently when I started doing some arithmetic on when I started school. And I started school in January of '36. And I started wondering, why didn't I start in September? Because I was the right age in September. And I realized our father died and I wasn't there to start school. I mean, I was either in the orphanage or at Aunt Mary's house.
So we went to live on 550 North Pine Avenue in Chicago, which was near Central and Lake. And the whole area was called Austin. And it really was a wonderful neighborhood for kids. We had a terrific time. There were all kinds of parks to go to. And it was an aging neighborhood. It was a mature neighborhood and full of good things. A wonderful library, which became kind of an oasis.
Well, it was very interesting because we lived in Austin from 36 to 41, from probably December of 35 to July of 41, and then we moved to Belmont and Laramie.
Those were the Depression years, and it seemed to me everyone was poor. Everyone.
Yeah, but I never really felt poor. We always ate. There was always meat and potatoes and a vegetable, and there were always cookies and oranges, and we always had a nice Christmas. But moving from Austin to the Northwest Side was I was 10. I was going to be 11 in December, and this was July.
Belmont Avenue.
And Austin was so rich. I mean, there were all different kinds of people there, different ethnic, a lot of Jewish people, a lot of color and variety. And then we moved to Belmont Avenue, and everybody was Polish, it seemed, And they were always scrubbing their doorsteps, or, it seemed like almost like going from Italy to someplace in Northern Europe or something, Switzerland. No, not quite, but maybe Poland.
The trees were missing. There was some
trees, there wasn't
complexity of the things that you see that was missing. But
the
it was
kids
also
were different.
But it was
real different.
The apartment was nice. It was airy. It was bright. A lot of sun, and we had some space in our own room for a change.
To me, the big influence all the way through those years was the movies.
I was thinking the same thing.
I mean, we were at the movies every Saturday and Sunday.
It
was our life, I mean, we saw every movie that came out of Hollywood, I think. And sometimes we'd see them twice.
Yeah.
Remember we'd sit through like a double feature, and then we'd decide to sit through the double feature again?
Sure.
And we'd come out of the theater, like faint.
It was wonderful.
We were in an altered state, starving to death. Oh, yeah, the movies saved a lot of things for me. It also filled my head full of garbage.
And that library, that wonderful little library.
The library.
To get your own library card, and they'd have a pencil with that little stamp on the end of it.
I loved it. I wanted to be a librarian. So I could stamp these books.
The smell of it, the quiet of it.
They had Palladian windows in there. It was really a beautiful
wonderful
building.
Place.